cousin married my controlling ex-boyfriend, so my cousin Julia, 27F, started dating my ex-boyfriend Louis, 29M, 2 years ago. I, 27F, had been with Louis for 3 years. We started dating after he graduated and I was in my second year of college. We stayed together for 3 years and broke up a couple of weeks after my 20th birthday. It was honestly not a good relationship, and I regret the fact that it was my first relationship as an adult. He and I were perfect on paper, but in reality, things were quite different. He was really insecure and controlling, and would not let me do anything that I wanted to by myself, like going out with my friends to bars and stuff, or even let me speak to my male friends. He was always keeping tabs on me, and any time that I did not do things that he wanted me to, he would start manipulating me and gaslighting me to think that I was the reason this was not going to work, and I was also pretty desperate to keep him around me, so I would bend over backward for him, but that was still not enough to make him stay. He was the one who dumped me, saying that things were not working out, and then proceeded to block me so that I would not be able to contact him. I tried really hard to get in touch with him, but after the breakup, he was completely gone, and within 2 months, I heard from people that he had already moved on to his next girlfriend. So, that was a colossal waste of my time, and I really don't like that guy. We had no contact with each other for some time after the breakup. But then, when I turned 25, he finally unblocked me and reached out to me to wish me a happy birthday. I did not respond to him, and I thought it was weird that he was texting me because by then, I had also moved on, and I was with somebody different. But he still kept texting me, even though he did not get a response. So ultimately, I had to block him, and then, we did not speak for a couple of months again. However, just a few months after my birthday, Julia invited me over, and when I went to her house, she told me that she wanted to introduce me to somebody, and it turned out to be Louis. Apparently, the reason he had been texting me earlier on my birthday was because he wanted to make things right with me before this happened. The two of them had met through work and had started dating and were quite serious about each other. Julia and I have been really close right from our childhood, so this came as quite a shock to me because she had known that he and I really did not get along, and he was quite toxic to me. So I was very taken aback when I realized that the two of them were together, and she told me that she knew I would be uncomfortable, but she wanted me to give it one chance, and I really wanted to do that, but it was just too much for me. I wanted to be happy for Julia, but Louis was somebody who had caused a lot of pain for me in the past, and it was my first serious relationship because in middle school and high school, I did not have anybody except crushes. And he had ruined that for me, so I had a major grudge against him in the way that he had treated me in the past. I tried to be as respectful as possible about it, and I told Julia that while I really wanted her to be happy, I could not process the fact that she was with Louis now, and I did not think that I wanted to be a part of her life anymore. She was really upset about it and tried to talk to me several times after that, but I couldn't accept it. Because she, of all people, had known exactly how toxic he had been to me and how traumatized I had been because of him. But she still went on to date him, and she kept telling me that he had changed and was a better person now, but I did not buy it. She was free to have him in her life and be with him. I did not have a problem with that. But also, I had the right to cut him, and by association, her too, out of my life. It was very simple for me, and obviously, it was really hard for me as well since Julia and I were really good friends, along with being cousins. But then, there's something that I absolutely had to do for my own sake, and I did it. After she told me that she had started dating Louis, I stopped speaking to her much, and for the past 2 years, we have been really cold to each other because once she realized that I was not going to talk to her, even she started acting distant with me, and I don't blame her for that. We would meet at events and stuff, and we would just ignore each other, whereas earlier, we had always been the cousins who would stick to each other and gossip about everybody else. But now, things were different, and I was honestly okay with that. Everybody had their own life and the freedom to do whatever they pleased, so I did not have a problem with her. I just did not want to speak to her, that was it from my side, but I guess she took it personally and wanted to get back at me or something. So she took it upon herself to start talking crap about me to other people from our family and ruin my image, which I did not think was necessary at all. Because I would never do that to her, I had never done that to her, even though we were not getting along. What did a kid say in court that made you realize you were defending the wrong parent? As a family court lawyer, you learn to read between the lines. When someone says, it's not about the money, it's definitely about the money. When they claim, I just want what's best for the kids, they usually mean what's worst for their ex. After 20 years, I thought I could spot a liar from across the courtroom, but one custody case completely fooled me. The mother had accused my client of horrific child abuse, not just discipline gone too far, but the kind of allegations that destroy lives forever. The worst part, both kids backed her up completely. Under oath, the children gave graphic, detailed depositions about things their father had supposedly done to them. The 7 7-year-old described incidents in the garage. The 9-year-old talked about the bedroom. Their testimonies were so vivid, so believable, that when I read the transcripts, I felt physically sick. Every detail lined up. Every emotion seemed genuine. The kids even cried at the right moments. I'll admit something I'm not proud of. I thought I was defending a monster. The evidence was overwhelming. The children's accounts were consistent. The mother seemed like a protective parent trying to save her babies. My client kept insisting he was innocent, but don't they all? I was going through the motions, doing my job, but my heart wasn't in it anymore. Then I noticed something strange at the very end of the younger child's deposition transcript. After the formal questioning ended, just as everyone was packing up, the court reporter had captured a brief exchange. The 7-year-old had turned to his mother and asked quietly, "Did I hit my marks?" That phrase stopped me cold. Before becoming a lawyer, I'd spent 3 years in Los Angeles trying to make it as an actor. I knew that terminology. Hitting your marks meant standing in the right spot for the camera, delivering your lines from the correct position on stage. It wasn't something a 7-year-old would know unless they'd been around actors, or unless they'd been coached by one. My stomach turned, but for an entirely different reason now. What if these kids weren't remembering abuse? What if they were performing it? I immediately subpoenaed the mother's bank records, and my paralegal found what I was looking for within hours: a series of payments to someone named Deanna Reeves. A quick search revealed she was an acting coach specializing in youth performance preparation. I demanded a deposition with Miss Reeves immediately. At first, she was calm and professional, talking about imagination exercises and confidence building, but when I pressed harder about the specific nature of her sessions with the children, her composure cracked. Under oath, with the threat of conspiracy charges hanging over her head, she admitted everything. The mother had hired her specifically to coach the children on their testimonies, not to help them remember or express real events, but to rehearse completely fabricated stories. Reeves had been given sample questions and detailed scripts. She'd trained the kids to cry on cue, to add pauses for emotional effect, and to make their stories sound authentic. The children had practiced their performances for weeks, treating it like they were auditioning for a movie role. The worst part came when Reeves, trying to reduce her own liability, handed over video recordings from their sessions. There was hours of footage showing the mother sitting with her children, directing them like a film director. In one clip, she stopped her son mid-sentence. No, remember, Daddy did it in the garage, not the bedroom. Start over. In another, she praised her daughter for crying so believably while describing an incident that never happened. The mother had been planning this for months. She wanted full custody and the house, and she knew abuse allegations would guarantee both. She'd researched what details would sound most convincing to a judge. She paid the acting coach in cash initially, only switching to checks when she got comfortable. If I hadn't noticed those 5 words, the father would have lost everything. He would have gone to prison for crimes he never committed. His children would have grown up believing they'd been abused, carrying trauma from false memories their mother had planted. The real abuse was what she was doing to them, turning them into weapons against their own father. When I presented the evidence in court, the judge's face went white. The courtroom fell completely silent as the first video played, and within minutes, the case was over. The father received full custody immediately. The mother lost all parental rights and faced criminal charges for perjury, conspiracy, and child endangerment. 6 months later, my client called me from a baseball game sobbing. He thanked me over and over, said I'd saved his life, literally saved his life, because he'd been planning to end it if he lost them. I've won cases worth millions, but this remains the most rewarding case I've ever worked.